On the day of the engagement party, my fiancé's childhood friend showed up in morning attire. Everyone gasped. My fiancé explained to me, Nora's son just passed away 3 days ago. She's still consumed by grief. Be more understanding. It's already her making an effort to attend our engagement. Let's not be petty. I stared blankly at my fiancé Marcus and his childhood friend Nora. What did this have to do with being understanding? I'm not an idiot. It's Nora's business if she wants to wear morning attire for a dog. Even if she considers a dog her father, what does that have to do with me? Now was not only openly favoring his childhood friend at our engagement party, but also telling me not to argue with a dog. I flipped the table. This engagement wasn't worth it. The dining table crashed down, scattering debris everywhere. Everyone looked over in astonishment. Marcus's face was filled with disbelief. He probably never imagined that I, usually so docile, would make such a scene. Grace, are you out of your mind? Today is our engagement party. I lifted my eyes, scanning him with a cold gaze, then let out a soft laugh. Yes, the engagement party. Too bad. I don't want this engagement anymore. As soon as I spoke, Nora, standing behind Marcus, swayed as if she'd received a devastating blow. She weakly clutched Marcus's arm, her eyes instantly reddening. Grace, did I do something wrong? She bit her lower lip, her voice choked with tears, looking utterly pitiful. I truly only came to offer my blessings today. Her aggrieved expression made it seem as if I were an utterly unforgivable person. I was tired of playing along with her. Offer blessings? Ms. Nora, why don't you tell us which decent person shows up to someone's engagement party in morning attire to offer blessings? My question was resounding, and all the guests' eyes snapped to focus on us. From the moment Nora appeared, the whispers hadn't stopped. Yet, she seemed oblivious, continuous. Why clinging to Marcus? Under everyone's gaze, Marcus's face instantly flushed a deep red. He instinctively shielded Nora behind him. Grace, don't be unreasonable. He hissed at me, his voice full of warning. I told you, Nora's son just died, and she's in deep grief right now. You should understand her. The word son from his mouth made the surrounding guests show expressions of dawning realization. Oh, so her son passed away, how truly pitiable. Yes, her own son just died, and she's still forcing herself to attend a friend's engagement party. Their bond must be incredibly deep. But then again, it's best not to go out during the period of mourning. Coming to such a festive occasion is taboo for happy occasions. The murmurs weren't loud, but they clearly reached everyone's ears. Listening to the words favoring her, a flicker of triumph flashed in Nora's eyes. She leaned weakly against Marcus, tears falling like broken strings of pearls. Marcus, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have come. I just wanted to see you happy with my own eyes. We grew up together, I've always thought of you as my older brother. She was crying beautifully, looking utterly pitiful. Marcus was heartbroken beyond measure, holding Nora tightly. He turned his head, looking at me with an utterly disappointed gaze. Grace, apologize to Nora. She's already sad enough. Why do you have to accuse her with such malice? Watching this disgusting display of deep sibling-like affection, the last bit of warmth in my heart completely froze over. I scoffed, you want me to apologize to her? Under everyone's astonished gazes, I slowly lifted my chin. She wants to mourn a dog, and she has to drag her act to my engagement party. Marcus, I ask you, what does that unfortunate presence have to do with me? The entire ballroom instantly erupted in an uproar. Marcus's face was flushed and pale by turns. As if I felt the fire wasn't burning hot enough, I took a step forward, raising my voice then higher. Everyone, I'm truly sorry for making a public spectacle today. But I think you might not know yet. The son my wonderful fiancé's childhood friend just lost. I deliberately dragged out the end of my sentence, watching with satisfaction as Nora's face instantly lost all color. Was just a dog. It's Nora's freedom to treat a dog like her son, and I can't control that. However, wearing mourning attire to my engagement party and bringing bad luck upon me, that's where I draw the line. My words resonated, followed by an even fiercer wave of discussion than before. I didn't bother listening. Then I clapped my hands. At the entrance, 2 of my bodyguards entered in response. I raised a slender, pale finger, pointing at Nora, who was cowering behind Marcus. Go. Strip her of that unfortunate attire. Nora trembled with fear, continuing to shriek and hide behind Marcus. Marcus! Save me! I'm so scared. Marcus finally snapped out of his shock. He shielded Nora tightly. Grace! Don't you dare! He warned me, his eyes holding a viciousness I'd never seen before. If you really go this far today, we're truly over. Over? I softly chewed on the two words and smiled. Marcus, get this straight, you're over. At this moment, the surrounding guests finally fully reacted. My goodness, wearing morning attire for a dog? Is this woman out of her mind? The world truly is full of strange things. Treating a dog like a son, and then showing up in morning clothes to someone else's engagement party? She's intentionally trying to cause trouble, isn't she? Aunt, who had business dealings with my family and was always outspoken, spoke without hesitation. To put it bluntly, if you treat a dog like your son, does the dog even know who its father is? Her single sentence was cuttingly sharp. Everyone, dog owners and non-dog owners alike, fell silent instantly. Nora's face could no longer be described as merely pale, and I just watched Marcus with cold eyes. We had dated for 6 years. From college campus to entering society, I thought today we would finally reach a happy conclusion. But I never expected that he would turn on me, for Nora, at our own engagement party. What normal man wouldn't side with his own fiancé? Was I too stupid before, or did he hide his true self too well? I suddenly felt that I needed to reevaluate his relationship with Nora. Before today, he had assured me countless times that he and Nora were just childhood friends, and their behavior had indeed always maintained boundaries. But now, everything had changed. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone from my clutch bag, and sent a message to Dad. Dad, engagement cancelled. They had just finished a $500 million deal in Europe and were likely on their private jet flying back home. Marcus saw that I was unwilling to back down and had no intention of apologizing. He felt utterly disgraced in front of everyone. His face also turned completely cold. Grace, I'm asking you one last time, are you apologizing or not? If not, then this engagement is off. He thought he could manipulate me with the engagement, as I truly loved him. And behind him, as he said those words, a flicker of wild joy crossed Nora's eyes. Unfortunately for her, I saw it. I scoffed, holding my phone to my ear. Fine. Then I pressed the dial button, and the call connected instantly. Hello, Mr. Daniel. Yes, it's me. You don't need to come for the engagement ceremony later. The engagement party is cancelled. Marcus's brow furrowed deeply, his face filled with confusion and a hint of unease. He stared intensely at me. Grace, what are you playing at? Why are you calling a lawyer? I looked at Marcus's face, etched with confusion and unease, and suddenly found it somewhat amusing. Why am I calling? I repeated his question, my tone casual. To handle the aftermath of our cancelled engagement, of course. For instance, the engagement gifts my parents prepared for us. I paused, my gaze sweeping over Nora's paper-white face behind him. Remember those two 21,500 square foot storefronts in Eastwood City Center that are currently for rent? Dad originally planned to transfer them to our names so we could collect rent as pocket money. Oh, and also, Dad also wanted you to join his company, directly as a vice. I watched Marcus's pupils widen slightly in shock, then I smiled, delivering the final blow with an air of nonchalance. All of that is now null and void. As soon as the words left my mouth, Marcus first froze, then burst out laughing as if he'd heard the funniest joke imaginable. Ha 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 ha. He doubled over with laughter, as if trying to laugh out tears. Grace, are you insane? To save your pride, have you forgotten what your parents even do? Give you storefronts? Make your man vice? Do you think this is a TV show? His words made me suddenly remember. For 6 years, I had indeed been deceiving him. This was my parents' idea. Back then, I had rejected all the blind dates my family arranged, insisting on finding true love myself. Dad then made a bet with me, saying that it's hard to know what's in people's hearts, and only love without any filters of status could reveal true sincerity. So, I became Grace, the daughter of an ordinary office worker's family. Even when our parents met before the engagement, my parents dressed plainly and drove our oldest Passat. I had asked them why at the time. Dad only said one thing. Men are fickle. The real test for him must come on the wedding day. Right now, it's just the engagement. Thinking back now, Dad truly had a keen eye. Unfortunately, Marcus couldn't even pass the engagement test. Well, it didn't matter. Since things had come to this, I felt there was no need to hide it any longer. Last night, I had even asked them to tell Marcus the truth today, to give him a surprise. But they had received a large new international trade order from abroad at the last minute and had to fly out overnight, only promising to return before my engagement ceremony. Now, even though they weren't physically here, by revealing all of this myself, I was even more eager to see Marcus's face filled with regret. I looked at him, enunciating each word, perfectly clear. Marcus, listen closely. I am the only heiress of the sterling in Silverwood. After 3 seconds of dead silence, the entire hall burst into laughter. The group? Ha 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 ha, you mean the sterling that does international trade? That's an outrageous lie. Ms. Grace must be too stressed, right? She thinks just because her last name is Sterling, she's the sterling heiress? She's really talking nonsense. It's true the groom's family was in the wrong first, but there's no need to fabricate a false identity and make such a boast. It's just embarrassing. At that moment, Aunt, who had been standing in the crowd watching the drama unfold, finally stepped out. She looked me up and down with disdain. Grace, Aunt knows you're upset. But while our family may be poor, we have principles. You can't just blatantly lie like that, can you? The heiress of the sterling? How can you even say that? I scoffed inwardly. When discussing the bridal gifts, from the originally agreed upon $380,000, she had tearfully told me that Marcus's parents had died young and it was hard for her, a widow, to raise him. My heart softened, and I not only lowered the bridal gifts again and again to $110,000, but also promised to respect and care for her well after marriage. And now, on the day of the engagement, they had humiliated me completely. I was too tired to argue with them any further. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. I scanned the entire room, my gaze pinpointing several corners. Several of you here are business partners of my sterling. My finger slowly lifted, pointing to a middle-aged man elegantly sipping champagne not far away. For example, over there, Mr. David of Eastern Group. Mr. David's hand, holding his wine glass, suddenly stiffened. I pointed to another direction. And over there, Mr. Robert of Huame Estate. Mr. Robert's face, having been named, instantly changed. All eyes in the hall darted between me and the several business big shots. Marcus and Aunt's laughter also caught in their throats. I lowered my hand, crossed my arms, and watched them at my leisure. Whether my identity is real or fake, why don't you ask them yourselves? Mr. David, Mr. Robert, why don't you say something? Susan, Marcus's aunt, rushed to the big shots like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. What's she saying? Is it true or false? Don't let this crazy woman deceive you. Mr. David and Mr. Robert, whose names had been called, exchanged glances, their expressions subtly awkward. After all, this was a private family matter. It was Mr. Robert of Huame Estate who spoke first. He put down his glass, his voice steady. Ms. Grace did indeed state our identities. He paused, his gaze turning to me with a hint of inquiry. However, Mr. William is resolute in business but extremely low-key in his private life. We only know that Mr. William has a daughter, but we have indeed never had the fortune to meet her. His words were impeccably phrased. He neither affirmed me nor denied me. Yet, it instantly caused the murmuring of doubt to rise again among the crowd. I knew it, how could it be? Does she think she can impersonate someone's daughter just by knowing a few bosses? That's too brazen. The last trace of unease in Marcus's eyes completely vanished, replaced by an intense, undiluted scorn and disgust. Grace, how long are you going to keep up this act? Nora, behind him, timely let out a sob, weakly pulling on his sleeve. Marcus, don't blame Grace, she must be unable to accept this right now. That's why she's talking nonsense. What a manipulative sweet talker. I watched them playing along, the curve of my lips growing colder and colder. An act? I smiled, then my gaze swept past them, landing once again on the big shots. I'd like to ask a few of you. Mr. David, Mr. Robert. Why are you attending my engagement party with Marcus? One sentence silenced everyone. The big shots froze. All the guests froze too. Right. Eastern Group, Huame Estate, those were reputable large corporations in Silverwood. Aunt's family was just an ordinary, lower-middle-class household. How could they possibly have invited these big shots? Mr. Robert and Mr. David exchanged glances, both showing a look of dawning realization. It was Mr. Robert who spoke again, with a hint of apology. It's like this, Mr. William had an appointment with several of us this afternoon in the third-floor conference room of this hotel, to discuss a new project bidding collaboration. He casually mentioned on the phone that there was an engagement party on the first floor at noon, and if we had time, we could come make an appearance and liven things up. We thought that anyone Mr. William personally invited must be a close relative, so we came. His explanation plunged the entire hall into silence once more. Everyone's gaze again focused on me. But the next second, the murmuring burst out again. That's not right. If she were truly the sterling heiress, would the engagement party be held in a 4-star hotel? What a joke. Exactly, hiding it from her boyfriend for 6 years? What for? Because he's poor and doesn't shower? But why would Mr. William even mention it? And if it were his daughter's engagement, Mr. William wouldn't show up? That doesn't make sense. All the doubts instantly overwhelmed me. This time, even Marcus's gaze towards me was pure disgust. He stepped forward, pointing at my nose. Grace, I completely misjudged you. I thought you were just a little willful, but I never expected you to be such a vain, deceitful person. To save your pathetic pride, you've made fools of everyone. He took a deep breath. This engagement party, yo. You've ruined it. You'll bear all the costs yourself. From now on, Marcus, never want to see your disgusting face again. He finished, turned resolutely, shielded Nora, and tried to leave immediately. I watched his retreating back coldly, about to speak. Just then, the heavy double doors of the ballroom were suddenly pushed open from the outside. A loud and respectful announcement echoed through the hall. Sterling's Mr. William has arrived. Newcomers, prepare to welcome the esteemed guest. The entire hall fell silent. Marcus instantly froze in place. Nora, nestled in his arms, stiffened instantly. After the ballroom doors opened, a line of bodyguards in black suits and wireless headsets entered, powerfully lining both sides, clearing a path. A figure emerged, backlit. Those deep-set eyes resembled mine in 7 ways. It was Dad. The head of the Sterling, William. Mr. William. Mr. William, why are you here? Mr. David and Mr. Robert were the first to react. They almost immediately stood up, their faces filled with respect, and hurried forward to greet him. Dad did not stop walking. He merely gave them a slight nod, his gaze already sweeping past everyone and landing on me. He said nothing, but in his eyes, there wasn't a hint of blame, only a carefully hidden trace of heartache, and an even more overwhelming, icy fury. Marcus's body began to tremble uncontrollably. His lips quivered, he couldn't utter a single word. Dad. I finally spoke, my voice calm. Dad's gaze finally moved from me and fell on Marcus's back. His voice betrayed no emotion. Marcus, right? The 3 words made Marcus flinch violently. He stiffly turned around. His face was full of fawning. Mr. William. Hello. This is a misunderstanding, a huge misunderstanding. Dad completely ignored his attempts at explanation. He took 2 more steps forward, stopping in front of me. Then, he looked at Marcus again. I heard something outside the door, it seems. You said my daughter W. as vain? Marcus's cold sweat instantly broke out. No, Mr. William, You said she was full of lies? Dad's tone had no fluctuation, yet it made Marcus's face turn even paler. I didn't. You said you never wanted to see her disgusting face again? As the last word fell, with a thud, Susan, Marcus's aunt, her legs giving out, collapsed directly onto the floor, and was trembling like a leaf. Mr. William. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. He violently pushed Nora away from him, as if discarding something dirty. Nora stumbled, nearly falling, looking at him in disbelief. Marcus? Marcus didn't even look at her, practically scrambling on his hands and knees towards Dad. I was deceived by this woman. It was her. Nora kept seducing me, she kept speaking ill of Grace in front of me. I love Grace. I've always loved Grace. What a spectacle. I watched these people with cold eyes. Dad, however, spoke calmly. Do you know why Grace chose this place for the engagement party? Marcus was stunned. She told me that your family was of ordinary means, and she was afraid that in too fancy a hotel, you and your family would feel inferior, uncomfortable. She said that life is for yourself, no need to care about prestige. She considered you in every way, carefully protecting your pathetic self-esteem. With every word Dad spoke, Marcus's face grew a shade paler. And what did you give her? Dad chuckled lightly. From the first day you approached her, I had you investigated. Marcus's pupils suddenly constricted. Your family background, your education, your past. Including this one. Dad's gaze finally fell on Nora, this childhood friend who was mourning a dog. Nora's body violently trembled. Dad raised his hand. His assistant immediately stepped forward, handing him a tablet. Dad turned the screen towards the ashen-faced Marcus. I have some more interesting things here. For example, what the 2 of you were doing in a hotel 3 days ago. Do you want to see it alone now? Or should I project it onto the large screen for all the guests to enjoy? The large screen lit up. The color drained completely from Marcus's face in an instant. No. Don't show it. Mr. William. I beg you. Please, I beg you. He scrambled forward on his knees, trying to grab Dad's leg, but a bodyguard kicked him away. Nora's face was as white as her morning attire. She bit her lip tightly, her body trembling so violently it seemed about to fall apart. Dad didn't even look at Marcus on the ground. Do I need to help you remember? For instance, the two of you in bed, discussing the ring Grace ordered for you. You said the style was too childish, completely unworthy of you. Dad's voice was like a heavy hammer, striking everyone's heart with each word. Marcus's family was utterly dumbfounded. His aunt, who had just been sprawled on the floor, now stared with wide, terrified eyes, her mouth open wide enough to fit an egg. It was you who told Grace you preferred something simple, a childlike style, so it would feel more like a home. She said, okay. So she visited every counter in the city, drew the design herself, and found the best craftsman, just for the ring on your finger. Dad paused, his gaze slowly falling on my clasped hands. And you, in turn, mocked her taste with another woman. Marcus, what is your heart made of? No. It wasn't me. Marcus, as if clutching a final lifeline, madly pointed at Nora. It was her. She forced me to. She said Grace wasn't good enough for me. She said only she understood me. 3 days ago, she drugged me. Mr. William. I was drunk. She got me drunk and dragged me into the room. He was crying beautifully, his acting worthy of an Oscar-worthy actor. Nora stared at him in disbelief, her expression shifting from shock to hurt, and finally, to venomous resentment. Marcus, say that again? You wretch. How dare you argue? Marcus went completely insane. He scrambled up, intending to rush over and hit Nora, as if that would prove his innocence. The bodyguard stopped him again. The gazes of all the guests towards Marcus were filled with contempt and the excitement of watching the drama unfold. I watched with cold eyes, watching the utterly shameless nature of the man I once loved. However, just when everyone thought Nora would break down, she suddenly smiled. Heh heh. She looked at Dad, and then at me. Yes. The entire hall fell silent. We were together. Marcus's shout stopped abruptly. He stared at Nora in astonishment, as if he didn't recognize her. Nora ignored him. She took a step forward, held on to a nearby chair, and slowly stood upright. Then, her hand gently rested on her lower abdomen. Because, I'm pregnant. Suddenly, something exploded in my mind. Mr. David and Mr. Robert beside me gasped, looking at each other. My stomach churned. I looked at the ring on my hand, suddenly feeling utterly filthy. I forcefully pulled it off my ring finger, little by little, and threw it at Marcus's feet. Clink. Nora smiled as she looked at me. Grace, I know this is very unfair to you. But, the child is innocent. She stroked her belly, a saintly smile appearing on her face. I can't let my child be born without a father. Please, I beg you, let us be. She said, then turned to Marcus's aunt. Aunt, you're going to be a grandmother. Susan's lips twitched, unsure whether to be happy or worried. Dad's face finally darkened. He quietly watched Nora, as if watching a grandstanding fool. After a long silence, he finally spoke slowly. Pregnant? He chuckled lightly, then turned to Charles, the assistant behind me. Charles, contact our private doctor, have him come immediately. And while you're at it, call the police. The expression on Nora's face instantly shattered. Uncle, what do you mean by this? Her voice was trembling. Dad's gaze finally shifted from his assistant to her face. It means nothing. Marcus said you drugged him. Dad's tongue. He was as calm as if he were discussing the weather. Drugging someone is a criminal offense. Both in principle and in reason, the police should handle it. Upon hearing this, Marcus's mind probably exploded too. He suddenly looked up, staring intently at Dad, unable to utter a single word. He probably thought that a casual accusation was just to get himself out of trouble. He never expected Dad to hand the incriminating evidence directly to the police. Nora's face could no longer be described as merely pale. She looked at Marcus as if pleading for help. But, at that moment, was preoccupied with his own predicament. No, it's not like that. Nora's voice was barely a whisper. We were consensual. Oh? Dad raised an eyebrow. So, Marcus publicly lied at the engagement party, in front of all the guests, to slander your reputation? Nora was speechless. If she admitted it, it was drugging. If she denied it, she was accusing Marcus of lying publicly. Both charges, regardless of which one, were enough to utterly destroy her and Marcus's reputation tonight. I watched her caught in a dilemma, feeling no sympathy whatsoever. If she had known this would happen, why had she started it? As for the pregnancy, if what you say is true, our Sterling family will voluntarily give up this engagement. Therefore, I've invited a private doctor to verify it on the spot, so everyone can rest assured. Dad's words were impeccably phrased. He was both in the right and maintained his pride. Susan, Marcus's aunt, finally reacted. You can't do this. This is violating human rights. Is there no law and order anymore? Dad glanced at her coldly. Law and order? My daughter's reputation has already been disgraced by you. Now, it's my turn to discuss the rules with you. As soon as he finished speaking, the ballroom doors were pushed open again. 2 police officers in uniform walked in, followed by a composed middle-aged man carrying a medical kit. Charles. Dad gestured. Charles, the assistant, immediately stepped forward and quietly explained the situation to the police. The police officer's gaze swept towards Marcus and Nora. Who reported this? What charges are involved? Charles pointed at Marcus, then at Nora, speaking calmly and with dignity. Officer, it's like this. Mr. Marcus publicly accused Ms. Nora of drugging him and committing illicit acts 3 days ago. The man referred to as Dr. Michael walked over to Dad and bowed slightly. Mr. William. Dad nodded. Dr. Michael, I appreciate your efforts. Ms. Nora claims to be pregnant, please help us confirm it. Police and doctor. One to verify the claims, and one to check physical status. An inescapable trap. Marcus and Nora completely broke down. No. I didn't call the police. Marcus scrambled to deny it. Insane. You're all insane. Nora shrieked, trying to hide in the crowd. 2 bodyguards stepped forward, easily restraining her, one on each side. Let go of me. You can't do this to me. I'm pregnant. She cried out hysterically. Dr. Michael opened the medical kit and took out a syringe. Ms. Nora, please cooperate. It's just to draw a blood sample, it will be quick. The police officer also stepped forward, his tone serious. Ms., please calm down. If you do not cooperate, we will take you to the police station on obstruction of justice charges. Nora's crying stopped abruptly. She looked at Dad in despair, her eyes filled with venomous resentment. All the guests in the hall held their breath. Dad turned around and gently patted my hand. Grace, let's go sit over there. Charles will handle things here. I nodded, as if everything happening behind us had nothing to do with us. Just as we were passing by, Dad suddenly stopped. Dr. Michael, besides the pregnancy test, please also check her for other things. Other things? Nora's pupils suddenly constricted. What other things? What are you trying to do? Her voice was no longer trembling, but filled with terror. Dad didn't look at her. He simply said to Dr. Michael, Dr. Michael, I appreciate your efforts. You are an expert in infectious diseases. With that one sentence, the murmurs in the ballroom, which had just subsided, instantly erupted again. The words infectious disease were 100 times more alarming than drugging and pregnancy combined. Everyone's gaze, like searchlights, fixed dead on Nora. Even the bodyguards holding her unconsciously loosened their grip, as if she were some kind of moving viral source. No. I don't. Nora finally broke down. This is slander. I'll sue you. Dr. Michael put on his gloves impassively. Whether it's slander or not, a report will tell. The needle pierced her skin. Charles calmly directed the scene. The police recorded statements. Dr. Michael, taking the blood sample, went into the private room attached to the ballroom. Marcus lay on the ground like a puddle of mud. Time ticked by, second by second. 10 minutes later, Dr. Michael returned to Dad with a rapid test report, handing it to him. Mr. William. Dad didn't even look at it, simply asking, the results. Ms. Nora is HCG negative, not pregnant. Dr. Michael paused, pushing up his glasses. However, her HIV antibody is positive. The entire hall fell silent. Marcus's eyes instantly bulged like those of a dead fish. He sprang up from the ground, grabbing Dr. Michael's white coat. You're lying. Tell me again. Mr. Marcus, please calm down. Dr. Michael frowned, trying to pull away from him. This is just a preliminary screening result, but the accuracy rate is over 99%. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Marcus mumbled to himself, his face changing from flushed to deep red to ashen, then to an angry purplish blue. Suddenly, like a madman, he spun around and lunged at Nora. It's you. Nora. You ruined me. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked completely deranged. You scheming woman. 2 police officers immediately stepped forward and pinned him down. Nora slumped to the floor, her long hair disheveled, her eyes vacant. Hearing furious shouts, she suddenly let out a low laugh. It was me? She looked up, tears streaking through her makeup. Marcus, so now you're blaming me? If you hadn't kept leading me on, how could I have had one man after another just to make you jealous? And now, you're trying to push all the blame onto me? These words carried immense implications. The guests gasped. Aunt's eyes rolled back, and she fainted. "Take them away," the officer commanded sternly. Marcus and Nora, like two defeated wretches, were escorted away from the scene by the police. As they passed by me, Marcus suddenly struggled and yelled at me, "Grace. Believe me. I didn't know. I truly didn't know anything. I love you, Grace." I looked at him and suddenly found it all quite ridiculous. I stood up and walked over to him. Everyone expected me to slap him. Marcus himself even instinctively closed his eyes. But my hand simply and gently straightened his messy collar, just as I had done countless times before. He froze. I leaned closer to his ear and whispered, in a voice only we two could hear, "Marcus, do you know something? I received that medical report 3 days ago. Dad had someone specifically deliver it to me." His body instantly stiffened. I straightened up, a faint smile on my face. "I wish you both happily ever after." With that, I turned and walked towards Dad. "Dad, let's go home." "All right." Dad put his arm around my shoulder, his voice gentle. Stepping out of the ballroom, the night air was cool and refreshing. I took a deep breath. My new life was about to begin tonight. Thank you for tuning in to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.